Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, June 24th, and welcome to Conversations, a production of the Oakville Chamber of Commerce. My name is Tim Caddigan, and I'm pleased to be your host for this weekly series. Monday night saw the Oakville Chamber of Commerce and the Rotary Club of Oakville West host the 25th Annual Oakville Awards for Business Excellence. Normally, this annual event would fill the Oakville Conference Center, but this year the program went virtual and, to a certain degree, viral. Normally, a live audience that numbers in the hundreds transitioned to an online audience that has had thousands of views. The program will air right here on your TV tomorrow evening, in fact. Businesses have been hit hard during the pandemic, so an event that highlights and recognizes the incredible entrepreneurs and businesses we have in our community wasn't just an option, it was a necessity. The Chamber and all of the sponsors felt it was very important for the awards to proceed. So I'm pleased today to have three of the award winners from the 25th Annual OABE Awards join me today. The recipient of the Large Business of the Year Award was AtlasCare, and we have Michael Grochmal with us. The recipient of the Mid-Size Business of the Year was Scott Hurren of OTBxAir. And the recipient of the Professional Services Provider of the Year was Dr. Salim of 16 Mile Dental. So congratulations to all of you on your well-deserved recognition, and thanks for taking the time to join us here today. Let's jump in first with you. Oakville's Mid-Size Business of the Year, congratulations.
Thanks, Tim. Thank you.
When the COVID-19 pandemic hit in mid-March, how did you adapt your business model to stay relevant and serve your clients who were facing an outlook of uncertainty much like you were?
Yeah, that was a big change. So I actually coincidentally happened to be in Florida. So we had a family vacation planned down to Florida for March break week. My wife's a teacher. We made that decision. Do we go? Do we not go? What do we do? And so we decided to go. And of course, it was that week where everything was happening. The borders were starting to close. We weren't sure whether we were going to be on a non-essential list, what was happening. So I was doing all of this from there, and we were really not sure what it meant for us. We do a lot of photography and videography work in the real estate sector. So we work with a lot of residential and commercial real estate businesses. And they weren't sure either what was going to happen. So we were really in this time of writing policies around what are our new procedures with COVID? Like, what are we doing with, personal protective equipment for our crew when they're going into homes and photographing and doing video work? Can we still put mics on people and film them? All these things were changing. And then we didn't know whether we were going to be in business, or were we going to be completely shut down, or what was going to happen. So we took it a day at a time. We did everything that we could to try and be compliant, safe for our team, safe for our clients. And fortunately, we are in a sector that saw definitely some slowdown in the month of April. But we've had our three best months on record for June, May, and March, in that order, since COVID. And so I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we've adapted to really trying to service the residential real estate market in a whole new way. So we're providing new services. So you can imagine if you were looking to buy a house, Tim, and you wanted to go in and see it, you can't do that anymore. So all of our services become even more valuable because we have to create video, we have to create 360 digital tours and try and create even a more immersive experience for people online. And so we've really had to pivot. We've had to keep our team safe, had to write policies and procedures around it. We've been very fortunate, though, to be in a category that has been strong kind of through this, where we've seen lower volume but higher tickets on our average transaction, which has been great. And now we're starting to see kind of a real wave, especially in residential real estate. Our corporate side of the business has been very, very quiet. And that's been challenging because you can imagine a lot of people they're not home, they're not doing corporate video work. So we've had to really pivot from, kind of a split between corporate and real estate to focus all of our attention on real estate. So some tough decisions, but we've been fortunate to be on a very positive side of a coin.
It's tough to create that pivot for sure. Dr. Salim, the nature of your business, I'm sure you went through a lot of the same thinking that Scott had around how do you do what you need to do, but with a lot of the government restrictions around your business, I'm just curious what your thought process was as you went through the closure and as you now start the opening of your business.
Absolutely. So Yes, it was really challenging times when COVID hit and everything changed, and a lot of businesses are shutting down. And honestly, my biggest concern was my staff. I was very concerned. I feel I'm the caregiver of my staff and my patients, and that was my biggest worry: how to make everybody safe, and how am I gonna, how it was really difficult to first to absorb the idea that I have to lay off my team actually and go through the shutdown process. During the same time, it was non-stop work for us, to be honest with you, behind the scene in terms of securing PPEs, working around the clock to uh, getting all that in order. And as I said, always the safety of my staff and my patients is our main priority. I was working nonstop during the shutdown in the office. We went over and beyond the recommendation. I even we repainted the office, disinfected everything from head to toe, and reorganized, secured all the PPEs, did the HVAC assessment, purifiers, installed the magnet doors and plexiglass, and it's for everybody's safety and their comfort level. And everybody's so appreciative in terms of team. They know, they trust me, and I trust them, and they know I'm always there for them. Their safety is my priority, and as well as for my patient. It is honestly, it's been so rewarding when we allow to open back and resume care um, at a staged process, and you can see the appreciation in the patient's eyes, and how they were so happy to see how much we're going over and beyond from the screening, from all the safety measures that we took in place. And again, it's a teamwork effort.
Dentists are allowed to open now, but are dental hygienists back yet? I don't think they are.
Yes, they are, but with restricted services, so to limit aerosol generation. And in addition to that, we have implemented all everything had the college asked for. As I said, even the Royal College of Dental Surgeons of Ontario, they followed the CDC protocols in terms for their guidelines. So there were some items that were not, I would say, mandatory per se, but we still went over and beyond and went with the decision to implement everything beyond the recommendation, and again for the safety and health of all our patients. And honestly, I tell my patients, I believe we are the best equipped to deal with this, because we always been drilled on infection control. We always follow the highest standards when it comes to infection control and how we treat our patients. So it's nothing new to us, but we always carry this on the back of our head, so it comes natural to us.
Michael, I'll turn to you now. You are an essential service. I'm just curious how you were able to address social distancing and keeping your employees and customers safe to do what you've always done when you have to go into the home.
Yeah, no, it was a very scary time when this all broke out, because people were afraid to have us in their home, rightfully so. And so, yeah, it was, to echo the other two guests, a lot of, making sure that you acquire the right protective equipment, making sure that you write the policies and procedures. But the big part was just being able to communicate that out. We got on the phones right away, and even though we weren't in anyone's homes, we were making 500-600 outbound phone calls a day, letting people know what we were doing, how we were doing it. And yeah, it just took a lot of thought. So we put together a task force to kind of think our way through the challenges. And so, yeah, we were able to come up with, social distancing rules, obviously, masks and gloves, and, I got a hold of hospital grade disinfectant, so you can disinfect tools and disinfect, any common touch areas. And right away, actually, we decided, because we couldn't get hand sanitizer, but we're in someone's home, and it was going to be better to actually, they said washing your hands was better. And so we actually went and got dish soap for all of our staff, as well as rags. And so, part of the procedure became we wash our hands in front of the customer, and then when we show up, and we wash when we leave. And so, yeah, I mean, we just kind of went through, and then, changing some of the general procedures around when you have recommendations, you can email or text it to them and then make a phone call. So you keep your distance. And so, yeah, pretty soon, I think people started to hear that we were taking all the right procedures and protocols, and people felt safe, and they were writing to us saying they felt safe and they appreciated it. And that sort of really helped the business to get under its sure footing. Because at one point, other people, I had to lay off about 80 people. And it was very much like, are we going to be back in houses? And if so, when? Yet we know that there were still emergencies that we have to deal with, because if somebody has no hot water, if somebody has a drain backup, if somebody, and then as we get into summer season, there's people that require air conditioning for health reasons. And so we had to make sure that we were able to take care of those people.
It's an incredible array of things that you would have to consider, especially because to do what you do, you would have to be in the houses. I mean, we had a very late spring. I remember we still had snow flying in May and the furnace on, so I'm sure people were keen that you were doing the precautions, but at the same time, pretty interested in having you come into the houses.
Yeah, and a part of it was just a good communication, as we told people, if everybody waits, we're going to have the same, use common lingo here. We have to flatten our own demand curve because there's only so much capacity in the industry. And so if everybody waits to get everything done or just holds on as long as they can, at some point we get inundated. And, we definitely found that the first time it got hot. We normally get about 100 phone calls a day into the building, and we had 830 the first hot day. Which you can't even answer that many phone calls. And so it became very challenging. And so, yeah, for staff, and it took a while also to get staff back, because even if you have the work, there's people for various reasons, whether it be childcare reasons, taking care of loved ones, or they themselves are immune compromised, that you don't have all your staff back right away.
Scott, on this program, we're very interested in what various industries are doing as they start to come out of COVID-19, the reopening. You, in your business, you get a broad aspect or view of what various industries are doing. And I'm curious what you've seen as what other businesses are doing to stay relevant and engaged during this whole pandemic.
Yeah, it's a great question. We've seen a little bit of everything. I think we've seen, some businesses that are completely shut down and just not returning to work. We've got some corporate clients that have told us, like, nobody's back in the office until February. Like, they've made that call at this point, and this is middle of June. So that's a long period to be, kind of displaced. We've heard of, some of our clients are shifting to more remote working options for their staff. We've been involved in some businesses that are in the healthcare sector, and they're trying to tell the story to appease their clients or their patients about what to expect when they now come back out of COVID. So we've done some video work there to kind of, we do a lot of storytelling for different businesses and people and brands. And so now the story is, okay, well, what have you done to protect me when I come to become a client? And so we're doing, COVID videos. It's crazy. Like, who would have thought? But, it's kind of telling that story. So we're seeing, and, all of those businesses are adapting in their own unique way. They're, everything from PPE to distancing protocols, and you've got all these different things, and everybody's in a different boat. We've got charities, for example, that are, dependent on events and public events for fundraising, and they're shifting to virtual event models, and they need, more video work and things to kind of tell that story. And so I think everybody, there's a lot of, I really feel like there's a lot of range in the effects of COVID. Some people are I hate to use the term winning through it, but they're just in a business that has a direct connection. I mean, if you're making plexiglass, sneeze protectors, you're probably doing pretty well right now. If you're in the PPE side of things, you're fine. But if you're in the event rental space, I mean, there's a lot of businesses that are going to have some really tough roads ahead. And so seeing them kind of reinvent themselves and being creative in what they can do, I think, and really kind of pivoting as best they can. Yet there's still, you just got to wonder about some businesses, whether it's viable to, even with the new ease of restriction, does it even make sense to reopen the door? Like in some cases, which is with reduced demand, buyer behavior, costs of PPE, training, availability of staff, you've got to look and go, like, does it make sense to even open? And so, even though I'm part of a CEO group, we meet once a week. They've kind of sprung into action doing virtual calls weekly with just a small group of about 8 or so CEOs of different businesses and different sectors, and you can see the range. Everybody's hit in some way, some more than others. But I think in general, over the past, I would say, month, we have definitely seen sort of this lifting of a lid, like where we're coming out of something, which is good, getting back to some kind of new normalcy, which I think it's refreshing to see. Yet at the same point, I'm very cautiously trying to stay cautiously optimistic that we don't go back into a second phase here, because I was having a call this morning with somebody. They're trying to plan an event. They had a live event. It was planned for September. And they're like, well, what do we do? Do we do this live event in January? I'm like, well, if you have a second phase and there's another lockdown, all your best laid plans for January, you're rescheduling it. So you've got to, what do? Do you just wait and call the year off and we're going to revisit in 2021? And I think there's a lot of that going on. And so it's that ability to pivot, and I think also to recognize just the industry and the situation you're in, take the emotion out of it and really make a call. What is the best thing to do in terms of being in this business that we're in or not? You may need to make some tough calls.
A tough call, and in a lot of cases, just a guess. Dr. Salim, when you opened your practice, I know you were educated in British Columbia, you worked in Kitchener, but you chose Oakville. What was that experience like, and what was it like opening a new business here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Oakville has had always a special charm to my heart, to be honest with you. It's always the feel of the town, and I wanted from the beginning to kind of join this community. And when the opportunity of this practice came up, I believe it was a perfect opportunity to be within this town that I loved from the beginning. Just strolling into the little streets of downtown, being close to the water, just greeting the friendly community and people, the residents of the area where you go everywhere. So it was such an amazing opportunity, and definitely opening a business has challenges on so many levels, and but being here, and the community has embraced me since the beginning, and whether from the residents, whether from the amazing groups that I belong to, and again, help each other, being there for each other, giving back, and also being in the community. Also, that in the early beginnings, that I put a lot of thought, and I went and I looked at the history and studied the background of Oakville, and I put a lot of effort in choosing the name of the practice, because I wanted to be such an important, and give us the sense of belonging to this amazing atmosphere. So we chose the 60 Mile. It actually, I had to apply to the Royal College why I chose the name. So I had to do a little application and kind of convince the committee why I chose this name, because I believe it was an important source of fresh water where whole Oakville started about, and any Oakvillians, they kind of feel excited when they hear the name. So I'm proud to be here, and I'm proud of the community that their trust in me, and they allow me to serve. And we do what we do with big heart and great passion, and honestly, that's what enforced our philosophy since the beginning. I treat everyone like my own family, and that's what we strive to provide here. Our mission statement is where modern meet comfort and patients become family, and that's the main thing I wanted to create in the beginning. I wanted to create a homey feeling. Going to the dentist, a lot of people, it's not something people look up to be honest with you. There's a lot of fear and anxiety. So I want to be to create something different where patients are safe, and it is a place where people look up to coming. And I hear it from my own patients, and that's how I've been growing over the years. So all these challenges were very rewarding, and they still continue to be rewarding and flourishing with the amazing growth that we're going through, again, by the trust of our community.
Well, you're proud to be here. We're proud to have you. Michael, when I was watching your speech Monday night, you talked about some employees that have been with you for decades. You also touched on the importance that you invest in the company culture. Why do you do that? Why is that so important to you?
Yeah, no, I get that question a lot. I mean, working on the company culture has been sort of a 10-year project for me, and there's no finish line. So it's an evolving type thing. In the end, there are lots of competitors in my market space. A lot of people can sell you furnaces and air conditioners, can do plumbing work for you. And so the question now becomes, what's the differentiating factor? And so our customers have always told us, it's your people. Like, I love having your people into my home. They're respectful, they're nice, they're thoughtful, they're not pushy, they're not just trying to sell me things, they're educating. And whenever I need you, you're there. And, so our motto's, we're always there when you need us. And so it just became sort of the cornerstone to build the business on. And so I have an annual culture book I make. It's an 90 page book that we hand it out on every call, and to really, let people know this is the kind of company you're doing business with. Company that takes care of its employees, a company that does lots of charity work in the local community, makes investments. And so if that's the kind of company that you want to do business with, then we might be the right company for you. And so it was a little bit of, take on the whole Simon Sinek start with why, which is, why are we in business and why do we deserve to be in business? And so, yeah, our staff have definitely embraced it. And yeah, it's been wonderful, and it becomes a great way to reinforce the company values. It's a great way to grow and coach people, because usually if somebody's having a problem, it's usually a violation of the culture. And so it becomes much easier to keep everybody going down the same line, especially as we grow, because we've doubled in size kind of over the last 6-7 years. And so as you add people, you want to make sure that your service stays the same or gets better. And so how do you do that? And by giving people that guiding light, which is, this is how we're going to act and behave. I think it's the way to do it. And so, yeah, that's how we think we differentiate. And, we've got, last count, I think about 17 people who've been with us 20 years or longer. And so they've seen sort of the transition and the change. And I'm really proud of the fact that people year after year choose to continue their career with us. And many we started right out of school, because we hire right out of the trade schools. As they keep talking, there's a shortage of tradespeople. So we hire, most of the kids are hired right out of Mohawk, George Brown, Humber College, and they spend their entire career with us.
Oh, it's a great credit to you and to your company. That's really quite phenomenal. We only have a few minutes left. Scott, I want to talk to you a little bit about your company. Your OABE win came just 3 years after you created the company. What's next? What's in store for you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So when I started our business, I really had a vision to become the largest photography and videography company in the country, with my mind and vision set on global expansion and growth. And so we've got some really exciting things happening. That vision is coming to life. It's I've taken a very kind of crawl, walk, run approach to the business. I wanted to make sure I understood what our clients needed and what the market was missing. And, you make a lot of assumptions when you start a business. It's kind of, we think there's an opportunity here. We think our pricing model will work. We think there's demand for this. And then we kind of feel it out. And so it's been 3 years of really laying sort of that foundation and getting a good understanding of what we can offer, where the gaps are, how we can help. And so I feel we've done that almost in years 1, 2, and 3. So in year 1, crawling, year 2, walking, and in year 3, we're running, like we're in full go here. So now we're setting our sights on more of the strategy for growth of how do we scale what we're doing? How do we replicate what we've created here in Oakville and the Greater Toronto area, in Vancouver and in Calgary, and and in the U.S. market as well. And we've got all of those sort of the mapping out, the foundation, the structure laid out. We're going to be looking at a new partnership model with local operators that are partnering with us to carry our brand and our concepts in their local market. And so we're working aggressively on, growing here still continuing to learn and adapt and grow our team on the ground. Yet at the same time, we're onboarding some new partners to help us with our growth strategy. And we will have a lot of that happening in the back part of 2020. So I think, for us to be in a position, we're very fortunate that we've been in a position riding out the first half of 2020, that we're having a great start to the year. We're expanding our business. We're hitting sales records. We've doubled the team. I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now. And so just trying, it's that balance of trying to not grow too fast, trying to make sure that we're doing everything right. And then exactly the same issue that Michael, raised about, this kind of wave of demand. All of a sudden, what do you do when the phone, you get 800 calls versus your typical one? How do you service that? We're dealing with some of the same things. It's, and you do. It's long days. It's late nights. You go on some faith that you're hiring and putting the right people in place, delegating more. And so, but the best thing that we've got is our team. And I think our team is continuing to grow. That culture's being set. We don't have the 20 years that Michael has. We've got 3. But that culture within our company is already really being set. And so we're really paying a lot of close attention to it in terms of, who are we hiring the right people? Are the motives right? Why are we doing what we do? How do we, what are the principles we want to live by? So we're really developing all of that. And then you get all of the procedure stuff that comes with it. So the next phase of our growth too is now it's
to cut you off, Scott, for a second. We're running out of time, sorry. Just give me one word, what being a recipient of the OABE award means to you.
Proud.
Michael? One word. What does the award mean to you? Not sure if we got Michael.
Oh, honored, I said. Sorry.
Okay. And Dr. Salim?
I was going to say honored. Thank you.
Good words. That's it for this episode. Thank you for joining us, all of you. We're taking a break next week because of Canada Day, but we'll be back with another installment of Conversations brought to you by the Oakville Chamber of Commerce, Wednesday, July 8th. We hope to see you then.